Today is Sunday, the 9th of June, 2024. The interview is Mark Cassuto. The interviewer is Denise Bruce. We're doing this from Dix Hills, New York, and the language will be English. Hi, Mark. Is there something you'd like to say before we start the interview?
I'd like to dedicate this to my dear wife of 63 years, short-lived, Julia Cassuto. I love her and I love her. I'd like to name this movie The Boy in Short Pants.
Let's start with some basics. Your first name is?
Mark.
And do you have a middle name, Mark?
It's automatic. In our religion, it's automatic. The middle name is automatic. You take it after your father's. So my name was always Mark Cassuto, and my father's name is Joseph. And when I get stopped in the street and they ask me, "Are you a Cassuto?" What's your father's name? Then they know where I come from, or where I come from.
And is that your birth name?
My birth name?
Birth
My birth name is Mark Cassuto.
Okay.
Born 1933.
Okay. And the address is? Your address here? And this has always been your home address?
It's been my home since September 1st, I believe, 1970.
Okay. And your first language is?
My first language, I believe, was French and English. And Spanish, we spoke Ladino at home. My grandmother spoke Ladino.
And this is your preferred language, English?
I would say so, yes. French is second. Ladino's third. Arabic is fourth.
And what is, where were you born?
Alexandria, Egypt.
And the date of your birth?
March 23rd, 1933.
And your religious identity?
Jewish. Hebrew, Jewish.
And what would you say your political affiliation is?
I'm neutral. I don't know what my political... Neutral. Just health.
And what was your education?
My education in Egypt was up to first year in high school, which they call it Form 1. You go in one building has 6 classes, first floor. The other 6 classes are upstairs. The ones on the bottom are called Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, Class 4, Class 5, and Class 6. Upstairs on the second floor, they're called Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5, Form 6. After that, you go to college or university.
And you finished how much of your education?
I finished the first, up to Form 1. I just started Form 1.
And how old were you?
12.
Okay. Was it a British education?
Yes.
It's British. And is there a reason why you stopped at the age of 12?
We came here.
Oh, okay. All right. So partly due to the war. Okay.
Yeah, we came to America.
Okay. And as a young child, did you work there? Or was it just your parents that worked, your father that worked?
My father was the only one that worked. My mother was a housewife.
And what did your dad do?
He was a cotton trader. He traveled to Sudan once a month, 3 times a month, twice a month, I don't know, but he was a cotton trader.
And was that his own business that he had?
No, he worked for somebody.
He worked for somebody, okay. And do you belong currently to any organizations?
No, I don't.
Okay. And have you done this type of interview before?
Yes.
And who did you do that with?
My nephew is a filmmaker, Alan Berliner. He made the film on my family, my father, The Intimate Stranger. He interviewed the whole family.
Okay. Several generations, or from you
First,
down?
he interviewed us, my siblings, and his father. That's about it.
Okay. Okay. During this interview, are there any topics that you'd like to avoid?
No. If you ask me a personal something that I cannot answer, I will admit to you.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm liberal.
Okay. So we're going to go on to your World War II experiences. And did you flee from a territory that was under Nazi control?
The Nazis were about 30 miles from Alexandria and 20 miles from my home and 5 miles from where I was boarding in school. I went to Victoria College, which is supposed to be a renowned college or a renowned school. Goes from elementary, high school, and college. And only the rich, I suppose, I don't know how I got there, but the renowned people like the king of Jordan went there. He was a couple of years older than me, and the movie star, what's his name? He played with Streisand.
Omar Sharif.
Omar Sharif went to that school. When my mother took me to that school for the first time with my bag, and she left me there, I went to the dorm. There's 20 students in that dorm. On the other dorm, there's another 20 or 30 students. I was approached because I'm a new student, and they came to me and they asked me, "What is your title?" Title? I don't have a title. You don't have a title? Then we'll call you Master Mark. And I got that name ever since because some of the boys there were dukes, prince, etc., etc. That's why they came and asked me, what's my title? I was there for about 2.5 years, not 3, maybe 2.5 years. And the war got very, very hot. That we had 3 air raids a night. And they had to dig trenches. With a dugout, raw trenches.
Around the school?
Outside the school.
Outside the school.
You don't want to be next to the building because that's the first thing they do is bomb a building. And it was raw. We'd sit down, take a blanket with us, and some boys took their pillows, and we'd sit there on raw dirt and just dig with the finger. And then go up. We get the clear sign. We go upstairs. Then we get another siren. We have to go back out. And then the school decided to put a canopy on top, plywood. So that in case any shrapnels come, they go on the top. And that was that. Then it got so hot that the Germans are about a few miles away from us. We would see all the bombardments. We would see all the gunfires from where we were in the shelter, that they told us to leave. All the children had to leave. We left, and my mother had to find another school for me to go. They converted the school, Victoria College, into a hospital. Maybe she sent you those pictures. I don't know. And it was turned into a military hospital. And my mother put me into another British school called British Boys School. And I was admitted in class 4, 3, I don't know. And I'm a new student there. I didn't know anybody else. And it's hard to mingle with old-timers. These boys started from class 1, class 2, or class 3, and I got in at class 4. So I had to start all over again.
Let me just jump back a little bit to your young life before you went away to boarding school. What status would you have considered your family to be? Like middle class?
Middle.
Middle class, okay. And do you have siblings?
Yes.
And how many in their names?
My sister is the oldest. I'm the second. My brother Albert Cassuto, is deceased. He's the third. My brother Benjamin is the fourth. He's deceased. So it's just my sister and I left.
And your sister's name is?
Regina Cassuto. Regina Berliner. She was a
Does she
Cassuto.
live in the States?
Yes, she lives in not far from here in North Shore Towers.
Okay. And your father was Egyptian?
No.
No. What
No,
nationality was
Jewish.
your father?
Jewish.
Right, but where was your father born?
Palestine.
Your father was born in Palestine. Okay.
The old Palestine.
Right. In a particular part of Palestine?
No.
In the old city?
No.
Don't know. Okay.
My mother also was born in Palestine.
She was. And do you know where each of your grandparents were from? From Palestine or another country?
My grandmother was from Greece, Salonika, and she moved to Palestine. Her parents were born in Turkey, and that's as far as I can go. My mother's father was born in Russia, and I don't know where his wife was, my grandmother, whether she was born in Russia or Palestine, I don't know. That's as far as I can go.
Okay. And when you were growing up in Alexandria, before and when you went away to school, because it was boarding school, correct? Did you experience anti-Semitism?
In school I didn't, because there's no such thing as anti-Semitism at that time until a few years later when they wanted to go get the whites. If you're not British, they're afraid of the British because the British governed Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not British, you get caught in the middle. For example, once I was going to the store to buy something for my grandmother. I was stopped with a knife, a pen knife, and they stopped me, and I had to talk fast. The first thing they asked me, Inglesi.
They meaning who?
That means, are you English?
No, but who was it that stopped
Two
you?
Arabs.
Egyptian Arabs?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a difference. Arabs and Egyptians. Arabs are low class. Egyptians are a little higher class. They wear suits, clothes. The Arabs wear garbs.
Okay.
Okay? They stopped me, and first thing, they asked me if I'm English. I said, yes, in Arabic, Aywa. And they said, they stuck the knife there, and they said, Filus. Filus means money. Then I remarked the knife. I like the knife. You want to sell it? And they said, yes. Let me go home and get money and I'll buy it from you. They said, okay.
And did they mention the fact that you were Jewish in that interaction?
No religion was mentioned. I always did not mention religion. All I said, I'm English.
Okay.
English have to carry a blue card. Identity.
Okay.
Like everybody, all English people there.
Even though you were Egyptian because of the British mandate.
If you're British and English, you have to have a pass.
Okay.
You get stopped, you show a pass, that's okay. It's a white card with a blue line going across.
And did that card indicate religion?
No, it does not. Did not.
Okay.
Just mentions that you're British. That's it.
Okay.
That you have access to the all British establishments like PX, the camps, British camps.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay. And you weren't, by dint of the fact of where you were, in any ghettos or concentration camps?
No.
Okay. And
But we did have in school, mind you, the Jews against the Christians, because at that time there were a lot of movies, Jews against Christians, so we would sword fight one another, and the Jews would be on this side and the Christians would be on this side. That's the only time we had.
So there was a bit of an indication
Yes.
that there was the Jews
Yeah, but
against
not
it. Okay.
anti-Semitism at that time. At that time, the anti-Semitism happened, I think it was just much later, just before I left Egypt. It happened.
Right. So you, in growing up, didn't have to
No.
encounter it or defend anybody. And did your siblings have to?
My sister came to my rescue when I was attacked by 3 Arabs in my street, my home street, and she came running down with a broomstick and chased them.
And were they after you because of anti-Semitism?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a lot of Jews on that block. As a matter of fact, the street was named Susi. Susi is a name of a family that lived up the block, and they're Jews.
Okay.
And this long story goes that they threw her out of the country in the 50s, and you can only take $20 with you. Okay, when they throw you out. So she tried to take her diamond ring and jewelry, diamonds, and she asked her maid, her close friend maid, to sew the rings and the diamonds in the button of her coat. And she carried the coat. So she snitched on her boss, Miss Susie. So when she was leaving the country, they asked her, you can only take 1 coat. Which one you want to keep? So the one she wanted to keep, they took it away from her.
Okay. Did your parents experience anti-Semitism?
My mother left way before that.
Okay. What year did your mother leave?
41, June of 1941.
And what caused her to leave before you did?
Because of what was happening. The war was getting too hot. The American embassy evacuated all American citizens from Alexandria. And she was supposed to leave on a certain date. And the boat she was supposed to take sank in the Mediterranean. So she made the next boat. The next boat left from Suez, from Port Said. And she took the boat south through the Red Sea, around the Cape, and went to New York. It took a 3 months voyage.
Now, was she an American citizen?
Yes.
She was an American citizen.
Yes, she was.
Okay.
And my brothers were American citizens automatically because of my mother. Any American citizen bearing a child after 1934-35 is automatically an American citizen. So my brothers were under that law. My sister and I were not. They were born in Alexandria also. But the law Roosevelt came out with, any American citizen bearing a child during this period, 1934 and 1935 and on, is automatically an American citizen.
So where was your mother actually born?
She was born in Palestine also, but she was a citizen, because from Palestine her parents went to America, and she became a citizen in America.
Okay,
I don't know how she became a citizen, but she was born in Palestine.
So she went to the States with your 2 younger brothers?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that? Do you recall when that happened?
Yes, I do.
You were probably, 8 years old?
Yes.
Okay.
8 years old, exactly.
And did anybody explain to you why that was happening?
No, because of the war, and that's it. It just goes over your mind. Just don't think about it.
Okay, so she went...
We had enough problems in Alexandria. We had air raids and air raids and air raids at night. All you see, the sky is lit up with flashlights.
Did your parents discuss with you while you were growing up in this atmosphere that there was a war going on, what was happening, who they were targeting?
No, you just take it the way it is.
Okay. But did you know when your mother went back to the States, it was because of the war?
Yes.
And it was safer for her
That's
to
right.
go?
Exactly.
And was she going back with the idea that you would join her later?
Exactly. She would call on us.
Okay.
As soon as she arrived in New York, she was supposed to go to the embassy and call for her husband and 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
But when she arrived, doors closed, coming in and going out. Nobody in, nobody out. The doors were closed.
Okay. Can you give me your father's full name?
Joseph Cassuto.
No middle name.
And yes, he automatically gets a middle name, Mark.
Oh, Mark. Okay.
His father's name is Mark.
Okay. And he was born again in
Palestine.
And do you know when he was born?
No, I don't. We don't know parents' age. We never discuss parents' age. or how old your father is and how old is your mother.
Do you know when he passed away?
Yes, he was hit and run in front of his house. 1973.
Here in the States.
Yes.
And you told me that your father did. And your mother's full name? Maiden name, too?
Rose Honig is her maiden name. Rose Cassuto. Or Rose Honig Cassuto, whatever you want to say.
And she was born in Palestine?
Palestine.
Of American parents? No.
Russian.
Russian.
Russian parents.
And do you know when she was born?
No, I don't.
When did she pass away?
1978.
Okay. And both your parents were Jewish?
Yes.
Okay. And did they raise you in a Jewish environment?
Of course.
You went to shul? And,
Yes.
And
there was a shul near us.
Okay.
And there was a shul in town, the biggest shul around. I have pictures here someplace.
And what was the name of that?
Elyon Navid. Elyon Navid, I think. Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me once again the name of your sister and your two brothers?
My sister's name is Regina, which is Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother's name is Albert Avraham, after my father's brother's name. And Benjamin is usually the name of the youngest. Benjamin is the youngest.
And Albert's name, was it originally Avraham? No.
No,
In
Albert
English.
is always Albert.
And can you tell me the years they were born?
Yes.
Okay, Regina?
February 10, 1935.
And she's still alive.
No, he's
Yeah.
deceased.
No, Regina.
Yes.
Oh.
Hold on. Albert, hold on. You asked me Albert, his birthday, February 10th, 1935, correct.
And Regina?
Regina was born February 26, 1932.
And Benjamin?
Benjamin, September 21st, 1938.
And for Albert and Benjamin, what years did they pass away?
I think my brother Albert passed away about 3 years ago, or two and a half years ago.
Okay.
My brother Benjamin passed away 10 years ago. He had pancreatic cancer. And my brother Albert had problems. I don't even want to know what it was, but he couldn't eat, he couldn't do anything. They finally fed him through a tube.
Were they also here nearby?
My brother Albert lived in Cedarhurst. He moved to Great Barrington, and then he sold a house in Great Barrington and moved to Connecticut.
And what about Benjamin?
Benjamin, he bought his first house in Bayshore, and then he moved to another location, Bayshore. He lived near me.
Oh, good. Okay. And then, did you have any extended family members in Egypt or here?
Say that again?
Extended family members. When you were growing up in Egypt, did you have your grandparents there?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
And
my
their
grandmother
names?
remained in Alexandria. My Aunt Mary, which is my father's sister, remained in Alexandria. And my cousin Lizette Capon remained in Alexandria. And her father, Joseph Capon, remained in Alexandria. They lived with us during the war because it was very, very, very dangerous where they were, because they had nowhere to hide or go. My father built the shelter under the house, which I have pictures and videos. When I went to visit my house, he built a very concrete shelter, and my grandmother, when she came to America before my cousin and aunt and uncle, she hated it in America. She hated because she couldn't speak English, she couldn't speak any other language, and she can't walk out to a neighbor and speak to a neighbor because they don't speak her language. So
Was this your father or your
my
mother's
father's mother, and then she wanted to go back to Egypt. She wanted to go back to Egypt. So he sent her back to Egypt by boat. She wouldn't fly. And then she came back again, and she didn't like it again. very hard for a person her age. I don't even know how old she was.
Do you remember what her name was?
Leah Cassuto, and her real name is Mercada, which means she was bought.
How do you spell her last name?
Mercada
Yeah.
is she was bought. I don't know what that means, but children were sold and bought, whatever it was.
Arranged marriage.
So Mercada is her real name, and Leah is also her real name.
And do you have fond memories of her?
Huh?
Do you have fond memories of her? What
Yes.
would your memories be?
She raised me.
Okay.
She raised me.
And
At
when they came to your house in Alexandria, your father, you said, built a shelter for them
Under the house.
Under the house.
I've picked video of the house,
Okay.
of the shelter.
Knowing that the Germans were on the march.
Well, they were about 10 miles away from my house. They were about 25, 30 miles from Alexandria. That's what they wanted. They were aiming to go there. And every day when we went to school, we would see truckloads of prisoners, German prisoners, Italian prisoners,
coming into the city.
traveling from the front line to a camp, a concentration camp or something. As a matter of fact, near my house there was a concentration camp, unguarded.
And did you have any experiences with anybody who was in there? Like, did you see them? Did you speak with them?
No.
And did the city alert the people of the city, the population, such as yourself and your
No.
family, that this is what's going on?
No.
This is what you should do?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Did you...
All I know that we had air raids in my house, and my father and I would go up on the roof and see the bombardments and see the...
But you knew that it was a world war, that it was
Yes.
World War II, that the
Yes.
Germans were doing this. And did
Yes,
you have any
and-
idea of what was going on with the Jews in Europe
No.
at that time?
Not really. It was hiding. There's no news. The only news we had was BBC.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbor and me and my other friend, we had an arsenal. We built an arsenal in case the Germans came. We made bows and arrows
Mm-hmm.
from palm trees, and the one leaf of a palm tree, you could make 2 arrows and 1 bow, and we would collect nails, take the head of the nail and bang it with a hammer, and it gives you a spear. And the back of the nail, the top of the nail that you hammer on, you bang it so that when you make the arrow, you cut a groove here,
Mm-hmm.
and you put the nail here, you tie it up, you get sap from the tree, and you glue it. It's glue.
So there was a general feeling
Yes,
between
that
you
the
and
Germans
your
were
kids,
gonna-
that
gonna
and they were the
invade
bad
us.
guys.
And we had the arsenal under my friend's porch, the arrows, the bows, and to make the bow successful, we would slit the top of the bow in half here, and put from a bird. What do you call it? Feather from the bird or a pigeon, and we put it right there, and we tie it. We tie it on the top, we tie it on the bottom, and we sap it to keep it going. We had about we had a good arsenal. I don't know how many arrows we had, but we had a few bows also.
Was there any discussion from your father after your mother left about what your plan would be should the Germans come? There was no discussion
Nothing.
with the children.
We were in touch with the American consul. Nothing doing. As soon as something happens, we'll call you. As soon as something happens, we'll call you. And it had a very heated effect to my cousin and my aunt. They lived in the city across the street from a police station. And the Arabs would go and raid the apartments, break down the door and come in and take the white people and throw them out the window, throw them out the balcony. This was going on, unbelievable. They didn't have to be Jewish, it's just as long as they're white. But maybe the religion, maybe they thought they were Jewish. I don't know. A lot of them were Greeks that lived there too.
And did your parents ever tell you while you were growing up in the home to avoid certain people or certain neighborhoods or?
My father always told my sister and I, be careful who you talk to, be careful what you say. That's about it. That's the only thing I can remember.
And before your mother left, what was your home family like?
Lovely.
Dinners together? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Lovely.
And did you travel together as a family prior to the war?
No.
No.
We stayed there.
Okay.
There was always a war in the house. My grandmother and my mother were always combating.
Oh, okay.
And my mother would raise the American flag and sing the song.
Can you tell me, and I know this is a difficult subject, the name of your wife and about her? So let's start with her name.
My wife's name?
Yes.
Julia Kaufman Cassuto.
And her date of birth?
5439.
Oh, so it just passed. Okay, and her date of death?
3/17/23.
And where was she born?
Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. So you were married, you said 63 years?
Yes.
And what year did you marry her?
1960. It would have been 63 years in June.
Okay. And was she, so she didn't have any experience overseas with the Holocaust or anything? Did
No.
she know about your experience?
Yes.
She did. Okay. Can you tell me the names of your children, their date of birth as well?
My oldest child is Lisa. 12/6/62.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did I say 12?
Yes.
11. 62.
Okay.
My number 2 girl is 8. I believe it's 25/64.
And what's her name?
Leslie.
Okay. Next.
My 3rd daughter is Francine. She was born in a house, natural birth, on October 21st, 1966.
And your son?
Wait a minute, 66? Yeah. No. Yeah. 66.
And your son?
May 31st, 1967.
And what's his name?
Jeffrey Mark Cassuto.
And they all live nearby, most of them?
My 2 daughters, Leslie and Fran, live 10 miles from here, west. And my daughter Lisa lives in the city. And my son Jeffrey lives in the city.
Oh, so they live all nearby. That's great. Can you list me your grandchildren?
Can I list my grandchildren?
Grandchildren, yes.
But the date of birth I can't
That's
give
okay.
you.
Just the grandchildren is okay.
Amanda Silverman, Jillian Silverman, Rebecca Silverman, Tess, Tess Silverman, Andrew Kafif, Khafif, Theo Kafif. His twin sister is Emma Kafif. Her youngest brother is Samuel Kafif, or Sammy Kafif. My daughter Lisa has a daughter of Adina, and she was born at 8/7. I don't know the year.
The children with the last name Kafif, what's that nationality?
His father was born in Egypt like me. He went to the same school I did, Victoria College, but in Cairo, not in Alexandria.
And is he Jewish? Or
Yes.
He is Jewish. Okay.
It's a Jewish name, Kafif.
Yes. And then does your son have any children?
He's not married.
Oh, he's not married. Okay. And they live nearby, your grandchildren.
Yeah, they all live in. One is still going to college, and the other one, the next to last, is going to college. She's graduating, I believe, next year. And my two other older grandchildren, one of them is a teacher, and the other one just graduated in last June as a PA.
And so we're going to go back now to before you left during the war. Do you recall what the impetus was that your father said, okay, we've got to go now?
He was constantly in touch with the American consul. That's why they called him. I was on the soccer game, and I was on, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're all going back to our homes, and I was walking with a friend of mine with our soccer cleats around our shoulders, and we noticed a ship going by. It was a civilian ship, and it was unusual to see a civilian ship. You usually see military, Navy, and so forth and so on. We just ignored it. We just mentioned it, and that's it. I got home, and the maid, as soon as I got there, the maid told me to call my father at the embassy. No, he told me to call my father. Go at the drugs and call your father. So I called my father, and he said, come to the American embassy right away. They want to see you. And that was the story. I went there.
And that was based on the fact that your mother was, as an American citizen...
That's right, called for us.
Called for you.
As I told you, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but we used to go up on the roof and watch the bombardments, watch the air raids. And from here to the next block, that's how close the bombardments were. Because we lived in Cleopatra, and the camp, there was an English camp in Sidi Gabir, which is a couple of miles away from us, and that's why they were trying to bomb. They were trying to bomb the military establishment there. At the Corniche, which is a seaside walk, like a boardwalk, but it's a street, they had cutouts that people can sit and bench, It was occupied by military cannons, eardrops, like radar, but they didn't have radar, but they can feel anybody coming. They had soldiers marching up and down the Corniche, back and forth, to see if anybody's coming in. My father and I took pots and pans, put them on our heads, and went upstairs on the roof and watching all this.
And in that entire time, your father didn't say to you, understandably back then, this is what's going on, this is what we're going to do.
Nothing was said.
And do you recall having any fear about that, or for your life?
I had no fear. And I still don't have any fear.
During the time that you were separated from your mother, did you hear from her?
Yes, but it was blacked out. Censored. It was all cutouts.
So what was the date that you left? And
November 22nd, 1945. And I arrived here in New York on December 17th, 1945, the coldest day of the year. 20 degrees below zero.
in Ellis Island?
No, we landed in Jersey. I don't know what port.
Did you come by a ship?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the
Gripsholm.
ship?
SS Gripsholm, Swedish
SS
American
Gripsholm.
line. And I witnessed my first snowstorm coming into the harbor.
And did you encounter on that trip on the ship any other Jews escaping Europe? That you know of?
Yes. Quite a few. As a matter of fact, we stopped in Greece. Our first stop was Greece, Salonika, and we couldn't get into the harbor to get all the refugees from there. A lot of them were Jews. They had to come with rowboats and little sailboats to come on the ship.
And at that young age, did you understand that that's what was going on? That
Yes.
that there was a
From there, we stopped in Piraeus. That's the next Greek harbor. From there, we went to Italy. I'm trying to think of the Palermo.
And this was all picking up refugees?
Yes, and
fleeing.
soldiers going back to America.
Okay. And did you have any contact with them? Do you recall ever meeting anybody, any young people your age that were escaping, or their stories just
No.
kept to yourself?
No, just didn't.
And did you have any experience on that ship coming back here of what you were leaving behind and what you were going to?
I didn't realize until I came to America when I realized I left all my memorabilia back home in Egypt. All the stuff that I collected, the shrapnels, the bullets, the casings, the badges, Australian, New Zealand badges, English tank badges. My father, when war broke out, he had to liquidate the office because all the people left and went back to their own country. Most of them were Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in charge of liquidating the office. So he did. And he utilized the space by converting it into a serviceman's hotel. He had about 60 beds there. Then it was too small. Then he moved in a bigger location. My uncle helped him build lockers. The beds were about this far apart. He had about over 110 beds.
And did you have any interactions with the soldiers?
I'm sorry?
Did you have any interactions with
Yes.
the soldiers? Is there anything in particular that you recall from speaking with them?
The war was never mentioned. The soldiers came to the hotel and I would check them in. I would take their rifles and put them in a locker. And they were all one color, your color right there. Sand color, the face, their helmets, their clothes. The first thing they wanted is to shower and shower.
And were they predominantly Brits, Americans?
No, British.
British, okay. And your father did that until you left?
Yes.
He did. And did your family own any real estate before you left
No.
there? They didn't. What was it like for you as such a young boy when you came to New York and had left that behind?
Very, very, very odd because I had a lot of controversies with my brothers. We didn't get along because I was brought up in a British atmosphere. Speak when you're spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wearing short pants and they were wearing long pants. And the tradition is you can't wear long pants until you're 13 years old. And I was 12, going to be 13, and they were 5 years younger, 4 years younger.
Right.
And they were in long pants.
And do you recall what it was like when you saw your mother for the first time? Because it had been about 3 years.
4 years.
Mm-hmm. And do you recall what that was like?
Sort of. It was cold as day. They put us into a school bus with heat.
But do you recall that feeling of seeing her?
Unknown caller.
Is that you?
We're back from a break, and we were talking about when you got to New York and getting settled in New York. And was there a particular place that your mother had set up a home?
Yes, she lived with her father in a tenement apartment in Brooklyn, Williamsburg.
Jewish
Yes.
neighborhood.
Yes. And he went to synagogue every single morning at 5 o'clock. And he what do you call it? He worked in the synagogue, volunteer work. He fixed this. He was a carpenter, a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was that the first time you had met him?
I'm sorry?
Was that the first time you had met him?
Yes.
Yes.
I came here in 1934. She wanted to visit her family, so I was a year and a half old, or 2 years old.
Oh, when you would come to the States. You would
I
come
came to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And
Were you, or did you notice or feel when you got here that you were in a Jewish area of New York, and
Because of my grandfather.
and being
He was
involved.
glatt kosher, and it was kosher.
And did you go to shul every week?
No.
As well. And
I went to Hebrew school.
okay. And were you did you come into contact or befriend anybody who was there as well from the Holocaust that was fleeing Europe?
No.
Not in that enclave. And later on, as you got older, and obviously the war ended in 1945, and people started coming in from Europe, did you start meeting people from
No.
overseas?
No.
Not in Williamsburg.
No.
You didn't have that. And in any course, as you were getting older here in the States and starting your adult life, did you?
My life started in Brooklyn. The first snowstorm I witnessed on the ship, and we had a big snowstorm, and I noticed in the street the snow was it was black. I said, I don't know who I said it to, I thought snow is white. Nobody, I said, what's this black stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's snow. I thought snow was white. Yeah, that's the dirt on top of the snow.
And so when you were growing up, was the war mentioned within your home life? Was there anything discussion
No.
about it?
I was a pawn. I was a pawn. I was told what to do, what to say. There was no room in the apartment for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was sleeping on a army cot. My brothers had slept on their own bed.
And what about your sister?
My sister slept in the living room on a couch.
And was
and-
your father able to resume some sort of business?
No, he resumed the business a year later. He started communicating with Japan. And he made a trip to Japan. And he started a new business with Japan, which ended up to be a huge business. Cotton business.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a barter business. The person in Japan introduced my father to a demi-tasse manufacturer, or a manufacturer that makes dinnerware.
Mm-hmm.
And that manufacturer had X amount of quantities of demi-tasse. So my father had a very good idea. Go to Egypt, make a barter. So many demi-tasses for bales of cotton.
So did you see that your home life changed in a way when he started having
In
an
a
income
way,
again?
yes. In a way, no, because my father spent 6 months, 8 months, 10 months out of the year in Japan and Europe and Egypt.
But he was able to support still
Yes.
your family. And did
Yes.
you move?
My mother worked anyway in New York.
Oh, what did
She
she do?
continued her work.
What did she do?
She was a secretary for a furniture manufacturer, Koch Furniture.
Okay.
She took 120 words a minute. Shorthand, which you don't know, nobody knows shorthand. Pitnam, and what's the other one?
What year did you start school again?
Well, as I told you, I was a pawn. They told me what school to go. So they put me into Stuyvesant
High school.
High School. So I came in late. This is in January. And you have to take an entrance exam to go to Stuyvesant. So we met the dean, boys' dean. It was a boys' school anyway. And he said, I'll give you a preliminary test, see how you do on the preliminary test. Fine. I passed with flying colors. I did trigonometry, I did chemistry, I did language. So he put me into he said, your son can go into in high school, first term high school.
Was there a lag between when you left Alexandria when
I'm
you left
sorry?
Egypt? Was there a lag in your education from the time you left Egypt that there really wasn't a
No,
gap?
the dean, boys dean, put me in a higher grade class, but then he says I'll try him in the freshman year instead of second year, and I didn't do very well in school because I couldn't understand the slang. All I can hear.
When you arrived here, did you have a British accent?
Yes,
You did.
they made fun of me,
Yes.
so I had to change my accent.
Mm-hmm.
Deuten first.
And
Deuten first.
did your brothers and your sister have to do the same, or felt that?
My
Well, your brothers
sister,
didn't have.
my sister kept hers.
Your
I
sis-
couldn't keep mine.
And did you experience when you got here any anti-Semitism?
Yes, in the neighborhood I lived, yes.
And
And my brothers used to tell me, get away from them, don't. But I used to fight my way out.
and who? What was this? Was there a specific ethnic group that was targeting you?
I don't know
Italians,
what I don't know
Irish.
what ethnic, but I never backed off a fight.
And what was the specific, if you recall, slurs, and what were they saying to you?
He's a Jew. He's a Jew.
And were there areas that maybe not you, but your sister or any of your siblings that you wouldn't go into to avoid that?
What do you mean?
Did you avoid certain areas so you would avoid
No.
being taunted?
I didn't know any areas.
Did
As
it
a
happen
matter
in
of fact,
school?
I had a lot of controversies with people living on the other side of the street, the other side of the track, coming in and raiding us and stopping us from playing punch ball, stick ball. They're challenging us.
Did you have that same experience at Stuyvesant, at school as well?
No.
No, there wasn't. It wasn't Holocaust.
The only thing I had in school is, what are you doing here? Elementary school's across the street.
Okay. And was there any? Do you recall when the war ended? Do you recall 1945? What that was like there?
No.
And when you graduated from high school, what was your next?
I graduated in 1950. The Korean War started one day later, and they were drafting. I still have my draft card and my, I just found it, registration card and draft card.
And you joined the service.
I volunteered because I was the youngest boy in the area, and all the boys that I was hanging out with were older than me, and they were in a reserve, and they were called in. A lot of them were called in. And there was a friend of mine and my... What was that?
Don't worry.
And a friend of mine said, come, let's you join the Navy. No, I want to join the Air Force. You join the Air Force. No, you join the Navy. So he went in the Navy and I went in the Air Force. November 1954. I'm sorry, 1950. 1950, I went in.
And why did you feel the need to go in after everything?
Because I didn't want to get drafted.
Oh, so you voluntarily chose to go so you could pick
Yes,
what you would go.
I chose the Air Force. Air
And
Force,
did
you can't be
serve
drafted in the Air
overseas
Force.
or here?
Huh?
Did you serve overseas? Did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. And when you got out of the war, when you were discharged, what then happened with your life?
I'm going to tell you something short and sweet. In 1952, there were no computers or anything at the time, but through the records, they found out I spoke languages. 4 languages, 5 languages. So they sent the crew here from headquarters to interview 6 of us or 5 of us. 2 guys were Polish, the other one was this and that. And I was the only one that was from Egypt. So they said, we're going to send you to headquarters and you take a psychological test, a physical test, and a mental test, and the whole thing. We went there, the 6 of us or 5 of us went there. We were there for 2 weeks or 10 days. And that was the end of that. It was a real physical test. And about a couple of months later, they came and we were called into the office, the six of us, or five, I forgot how many there were, and each one of us was interviewed separately, and they said, we want to send you to school for 6 months, special training, and after that, after the school, we want you to re-enlist for another 4 years, 3 or 4 years. As soon as they said that, I said, no, thank you. I said, where would you send me? At that time, they said Tunisia. Tunisia. Mm-hmm. Because those are the language, Tunisians speak my language at that time. And I said, now that I saw on TV the Ritchie boys, do you know the Ritchie boys? You heard of the Ritchie boys? That's a special people that came here from Europe, Germany. Refugees that came to America from Germany, and they wanted to use them to interrogate German prisoners in Germany. So they sent them all to a camp in Jersey called Ritchie, Camp Ritchie. And they called them the Ritchie boys. So what came to my mind, the same thinking, that's what they wanted to do with us. Where Tunisia comes to me. There was no war in Tunisia. There's nothing going on in Tunisia. But I think the embassy was blown up there.
And so you decided not to take that.
I didn't want to enlist another 4 years. I already put two.
Right. Did you go on to college after that?
Well, when I when I got out of the service, I went to visit the VA. You have to register with the VA, and they said, you know, you're entitled to the GI Bill. Oh yeah, what does that mean? So they send me, they'll educate me, and I get paid. Oh yeah. So they said, I said, okay, I'll go. So they told me to take the last education you can get. For example, master's would be the last, or business administrations. I wanted to go for that, but take the last one. And that's what I did. And I said, I'm not a student. I haven't gone to school for a long time. I don't think I'll be good. So the guidance counselor of the VA said, why don't you start with a community college? Go there. And then you can go around. I said, okay, fine. He gave me the community college near the Brooklyn Bridge. And there weren't that many students in my class. It was like old home week. I enjoyed every class. I never cut class. I never.
Did you encounter other people in a similar situation as
no,
you?
Just me.
No, that within your education, did you encounter other young people in your situation where they had come from another country and they were trying to rebuild their lives?
No. Okay. No. So I really enjoyed the classes I took, and I was getting paid because I was unemployed. I was getting paid about $65 a week, which is a lot of money, free and clear. But I really enjoyed the school. I made night school in 3 years instead of 4. I went 3/4 time, I went half time, 3/4 time. At one semester, I went full time at night.
What was the career you embarked on from school?
I'm sorry?
What was the career you then embarked on?
Business.
And in that time, when did you meet your wife? Was it during school?
No. So from there, I graduated the community college. Then I wanted to go to another college. So I went to City College on 23rd Street, and I did not enjoy it. I went there for a year. I did not enjoy it at all. You don't know the boy next to you. You don't know this one. You don't know anybody. But at community college, everybody knew one another. We gathered. We spoke. But City College, you didn't. It was a cold feeling, cold atmosphere. So from there, I went to FIT. And
And what's FIT?
what's FIT?
Yes.
It's a school of
Fashion
design.
Institute.
Fashion Institute of Technology.
You gonna pause the camera,
Pause.
please? One.
We're back from a break, and we were talking about the Fashion Institute of Technology that you went to.
Yes, because I got a job in the textile industry through my father. My father traveled to Japan very often. He lived in Japan. He lived in the same hotel with General MacArthur, and he knew General MacArthur, and he knew a gentleman by the name of Shamash. Shamash owned a very large import textile company here in New York, and nothing was discussed about me. One day, Shamash approached my father and said, "I understand you have a son in the army." My father said, "Yes." "When's he coming out?" "He'll be out in, I believe, November, December." "All right, have him come see me. I'll give him a job." So, when I got out of the army, my father said, "Why don't you go and call Shamash?" I did. He said, "How about having a meeting? I want to interview you." I said, "Okay." "How about the automat?" You know what the automat?
On it's a diner or it's a laundromat?
The automat. It was, it's like underneath, downstairs. I met him. That's when you buy a sandwich of 20 cents, 4 nickels, and you buy a coffee for a nickel, etc. It's a machine. You put and open the door. So he interviewed me and asked me questions. He says, "Would you like to work for me?" I said, "Okay." I didn't bargain with him or anything. "Okay, I'll start you on because the man that's working for me is going to Japan to inspect merchandise." Okay.
And this
Nothing
man was
was-
Japanese or was
No,
he?
he was American.
Okay.
Nothing was mentioned about salary. Then I asked him, "How much are you going to pay?" "I'll give you $65 to start." I said, "Okay, fine." So I was with him about 3-4 years.
And what was your position in that company? Would you say?
Uptown manager, uptown sales, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go out selling because I thought I had a good knowledge of the customers and so forth. And he kept on stalling me and said, "Okay, you will, okay, you will, okay, you will." Then on end of October, beginning of November, I said to him, "Listen, if you don't tell me now that I'll go out selling, I'm going to quit." He didn't respond to me. I sent him a letter of resignation on November 30th that I'll now be continuing my job with him as of January 1st, 1960. I was ignored, and I gave my wife an engagement ring on New Year's Eve. I was unemployed, and I gave her a ring that I planned for a long time. When I went to Europe with my father, we bought the ring there.
Where did you meet your wife?
On a blind date, her cousin introduced me to her. Her first cousin, second cousin, introduced me to her, and it was love at first sight. I tried to call us on Monday for the second time. She turned me down. She's busy. I said, "Oh, all I want to do is go for a drive. We'll go for a drive. A park or here." She's busy. "What are you busy about?" "I'm reading a book." "You're reading a book? The book is more important than me?" "I'm reading a book." "Okay." So I called her the following week. I asked her, "Do you want to go out this Saturday during the day? I'll pick you up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. "I'm busy." "What are you busy about?" "I have to finish the book." So what happened is that I got the hint, and that was it. I never called her after that. Then one day I'm having a social party in my apartment in Brooklyn. I called her friend. I said, "Listen, I'm having 11 of my friends come over. If you have any friends of yours come over, we'll have a social. She said, okay, do you mind if I call Julie, ask Julie? No, if she wants to come, let her come. The doorbell rang. Barbara and Julie were at the door. It was love at first sight. We never left sight of each other, and we've been dating ever since. And that was a life.
Mm-hmm. Did she have any experience or family experienced in the Holocaust?
No.
And you were married and you started having a family.
Yeah,
and
let me tell you about the Holocaust. We went to Europe. My wife and I went to Europe and visited people with our name on it. Gave us pictures. It's on the wall there facing you.
Oh, yes, on the other side. And what year was this?
I forgot. And the name is Cassuto. The mailbox is Cassuto. And his mother-in-law's name is Cohen. So when the Gestapo came from door to door...
What country are we talking about?
Lyon, France.
Okay.
Door to door, and they came in the house. They said, who lives here? She got very scared, his mother-in-law. Cassuto. So that's not a Jewish name.
No.
And they're standing right on top of a carpet. Under the carpet was a basement, last step, which is a wine cellar. Can you imagine if they would have tapped on that and hollow gone down there? All the children were evacuated in the countryside. She was the only one living there because she was old. She was Gilbert Cassuto's mother-in-law, and her name is Cohen, but she didn't disclose the name. She says Cassuto, and as soon as she said Cassuto, they left the door. I have movies of that too, and the big door.
And what have you, since you've been married and raised when you were raising your family, were you dedicated or devoted? Did you make the decision to say we're raising our children Jewish? They
No.
go to shul?
It's automatically.
It's automatic. Okay, and that's how you did raise your
Yes.
children, bar mitzvah.
They all got bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah.
And when they were growing up, were they aware of what your childhood was like, of the disruption because of the war?
Yes.
They were.
We didn't talk about it.
Oh, you didn't talk about
No.
it? No.
But they know about it. They knew about it. But we didn't talk about it.
How would you describe the fact that they knew about it but you didn't talk about it? Or they just knew not to say anything?
Maybe. My brothers probably spoke to her. My sister-in-law spoke to her. But
Did you find it too difficult to speak about?
maybe.
Have you felt since you've been here like 100% you're an American citizen, or do you feel somehow that there's still a part of you that's Egyptian?
I had to fight to get my citizenship. I was not admitted in the Air Force. I took a physical test, a mental test, the whole works. And when I finished taking all the tests, I was interviewed by captain, by officers, and they're looking and see, you made a mistake on your application here. You put down Alexandria. You mean Alexandria, Virginia? No, Alexandria, Egypt. Egypt? Yes. Are you a citizen? No, I'm not. Sorry, can't take you. If I would have lied and say, yes, you're right, Alexandria, Virginia, yes, I am a citizen. Just like a lot of Second World War, a 16-year-old lied about his age. I could have lied. It wasn't in me.
I want to go back to that for a moment. So when you were in the service for Korea, two questions. Were there other pals of yours or
No.
other servicemen that were
I was
Jewish?
the only Jewish boy in my outfit.
And did you experience any anti-Semitism from that?
Yes, they all kinds of names because I come from New York. I'm a Jew. I had a fight with one guy because he insulted me, my religion. And I had a dog. I don't know if you saw the picture of my dog there. I had a guard dog. and he insulted me. So he says, "Shut the doors. Don't let Mike in." My dog, Mike. He took his pistol belt off, put it on the pool table. He said, "Okay, Cassuto, you and I are going to have it that done once and for all." I don't know if he said, "You Jew," something, whatever. So he's a little stockier than me. And I got him on the floor, and I'm wiping the floor with him. And that was the end of that. They picked us up, picked me up, picked him up, and he went away. Nothing was said after that. I had a truck driver that used to pick us up in town and bring us back and forth, or transport us wherever he had to go. He used to insult me. And I said to him, "You and I are going to have it out one day." That's all I said. Then we had a GI party. Friday nights we have GI party, clean the barracks. And he made a remark about a Jew. I went over to him, I attacked him, and my friends, all black friends of mine, which I was very close with, split us up. And I was on top of him, and he was bigger than me. He got up and he apologized. "Don't you ever say that to me again. You hear me?" That was the end of that. Then once he's driving back from town, back to the base, he made a remark about Jews. "Cochran, what'd you say?" "Oh, sorry, Cassuto, I didn't know you were here. Sergeant, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were back there." That's it.
I think you had mentioned in our pre-interview something about when you were in the mess hall.
Yes.
And they wouldn't serve
Yes.
you.
No, what happened is that when I went in December 1950, we were being served horse meat, pork chops, ham, and I didn't know the difference because I came from a glatt kosher house and I thought all meats are edible. All meats are edible. So when I found out that I was eating pork and ham, I was sick. I didn't eat. I went to the dispensary, they gave me tests, and they said that I might be getting a discharge, medical discharge, and I just took off and never came back. And I told that to, I was crying in the barracks, and "You get a medical discharge, you don't have to serve." But I didn't like it, I didn't want it. And that was the end of that. Then I went 2 years later, I went to visit the commanding officer. But I was stopped cold by the first sergeant because you can't see the commanding officer unless you go through the rank. The master sergeant. I want to see the commanding officer. What's in reference? It's personal. I can't tell you. "Come on, Scooter, you can tell me." "No, Sarge, I can't. I want to speak to the commanding officer." "Hey, Scooter, we're family here. What's the matter? What's wrong?" I finally told him that. I don't eat pork or ham. He goes on my file, takes my file out. It's a 201 file. And he says, "You Jew?" No, I'm sorry, "You Hebrew?" "Yes, sir, I am." "Oh, no problem. I'll tell Sergeant Pate to give you whatever you want when you get in the mess hall and they have pork chops and ham. Whatever you want, cheese, whatever you want. No problem." So when I got in line, Sergeant Pate was there. "Hey, here comes a Jew." I ignored him. But that was that.
When would you say, or did you become aware of, as more and more information was coming out after World War II about what actually happened to the Jews of Europe? Were you aware of that at some point in your young life?
No. Probably a block in my mind. Probably I didn't want to know about it. Probably I didn't want to hear about it. It's just a block.
And as you got older, though, was there a point where you said, "I know this happened," and you traveled overseas, I believe.
Yes.
And where did you go overseas? You went to Lyon?
Lyon?
Yeah.
I went to Belgium. I went Italy, Switzerland, with my wife, with my brother, different occasions.
Did you ever go to any Holocaust? No, you didn't.
It was always a block in my mind. I didn't want to know about it. I didn't want to hear about it. I have a friend of mine that just passed away about 8 years ago, 6 years ago, Holocaust survivor. He had his tattoo. Joe Atlas. And he was a survivor.
Did he ever speak to you about it?
We had, during our Havara meetings, he had different, somebody had to speak. We had a speaker, or a member would come up and say, I got up once with my sister, we spoke about our history in Egypt, coming to America.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the topics we had.
And then so obviously the synagogue you belonged to must have had some survivors as well.
Yes,
And you became friends with this one particular
yes,
man.
he was in my Havara.
Okay. And what effect was that on you, would you say?
A little bit, not much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say to you survival of the fittest, because there's no such thing. Survival, that's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Survival. Right now, I don't run away from anybody. I don't run away from fights. I don't run away from anything. Walking on time from Penn Station in New York, my daughter Lisa was attacked. She thought they snapped her necklace. She was walking about 10 feet in front of me. Daddy, he took my necklace. I went ahead and I got him, put him against the wall, him and his friend. I put my hand behind my back, making believe that I had something. He said, I didn't take anything. Right? I didn't take anything. Later she comes and says, Daddy, I got it. I got it in my hand. I let him go. And another time in Home Depot, I'm in a Home Depot with her and her husband, and the bell rings. Somebody's running away with a lot of money, with a lot of tools under his jacket. I chased him, and I told Lisa, "Come and get me with a car." She came with her husband's car. We blocked the car. We got the license plate number. Came back, gave it to security. They caught him the next day. They took all the stuff back. They arrested him.
Would you consider that part of your life and personality stems from
Maybe.
your
Maybe.
formative
I don't know.
years, I should say?
Maybe.
And my understanding is that you're very involved in your synagogue.
Sort of, yes. I say prayers twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mention my wife and others.
And what
I
would
put
you...
tefillin on every morning.
You put what?
Tefillin. Tefillin.
No.
Yes. Okay. I wrap myself.
And has that been something you've done your whole adult life, or did it?
No. I did it for my father and my mother, and now I do it for my wife.
I see.
Okay.
What would you say has been the lasting effects in your life from what happened to you during the war and what that meant to your family?
I erase it. Start a new life.
Do you feel it's ever really erased?
No, but I don't think about it. I think of my grandmother a lot. I think of Egypt a lot. Had a good life in Egypt, a very good life in Egypt. And without my mother and my brothers, it was hard. But you survive.
Do you consider that yourself fortunate for all of that you had those
Yes.
means of escape?
Yes, I'm sort of fortunate, except I'm not that fortunate that I left my life. My wife left me so early.
Was your wife aware of everything that you endured as a young boy?
Yes.
She was.
She knows my whole history.
She does. And you were able to share that with her.
Yes.
And what would you say to people today, especially with what's going on with the rise of anti-Semitism and, what's going on in this country? What would you say to them as far as what you've learned as experience for people to do or say?
I can say a lot, but I don't. I've contacted this federal authorities. I've contacted this. Doesn't mean anything.
About what?
About anything. About anti-Semitism, and freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of this, freedom of that. Too much going on, and it's all pertaining to: will they elect me? Will I run? It's votes, votes, votes. That's all it is. If you complain about anything, it's votes. How many votes am I going to get from him?
But do you personally feel that there's been a rise in anti-Semitism?
Yes, very much so.
And have you or any of your family or
No.
friend experienced that?
Lisa was stopped, and my granddaughter was stopped in the city.
Recently?
Are you a Jew?
And
Lisa?
I'm gonna pause 1 second.
we're back from a break, and we are joined by Mark's oldest daughter, Lisa, and she's come here to offer some observations and some stories from her life with her dad.
So I can talk to you about our trip to Egypt. I can talk to you about the trip that Dad took us, the family, to visit his home in Alexandria. We went to his neighbor's house for lunch. We had a beautiful lunch. My father showed us around his house. Things were the same. My dad seemed so happy to be there because he was welcomed by neighbors. And you realized he had a whole nother life. When you think about it, he was a teenager when he left. He grew up in Alexandria, Egypt, the melting pot of many cultures and diversity, and that's how he was raised. When we visited his home and he took us into the bomb shelter, for Americans, we don't know anything from that. So it was just another, not something to see, a part of his time and his stories where he hid in the bomb shelter with his grandmother, and then after the bombs, he would go to the roof with a pot over his head and collect the shrapnel. And he's telling these stories as a kid, not realizing now today the enormity of that time and that trip as American kids with a father from the Middle East. So it was always, as a child, and especially the oldest, as a child of growing up in America, none of my friends had parents that spoke more than one language, just English. None of my friends had experiences with other cultures like we did, or other languages like we did, and learned how to respect other cultures growing up. I think that his childhood must have been beautiful in one point, and then, a nightmare for the rest, when his mother had to leave Egypt to go to America, and then he was stuck in Egypt without a mother and his brothers. That's got to have some kind of, for 4 years, that's a huge effect on your psyche and your life, Thank God he had his grandmother there. But, it was very difficult. But my grandfather, the stories that I heard, what my grandfather did, taking the furniture out of his office when the war started, realizing he wasn't going to have a business, but he had to think of something to support his family. So what they did was they rented out his house that they were growing up in, and my grandfather turned his office into a hotel for the British soldiers. Okay. So, going back to different stories that my dad, would tell us, I don't think he didn't speak about it that much. When I was in grade school, I thought when we learned about the Middle East, I thought my father grew up in a tent in the desert. That's how the visual that I got, because that's what they teach you. I didn't know that they had nice homes or anything like that.
So he didn't, when you were growing up in your formative years, you don't recall your father sitting down with you, or even
No.
overhearing them or anything, talking about that particular...
No, but the stories that I did hear is when he came back to America with my aunt, that was a very difficult time because their cultures clashed. There was a clash in cultures in their home.
Mm-hmm. Don't speak when you're spoken to.
He was raised with very formal manners. He went to British schools, private schools. So he was raised in a formality where you couldn't wear shorts after a certain age, or and my father's always kind of stayed in those kind of times when the formality of
One
it.
thing you forgot to say, which you brought up before, we respected. Everyone at that time respected religion, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish,
When
whether
you were
you're
growing up in
Coptic.
Egypt.
Everybody respected religion. When I used to see, the rabbis and priests and monks wore their garbs so you can identify them in the street. When I would see a rabbi, and I recognized him, he's a rabbi, I'd run over and I'd kiss his ring, his hand. That's done.
But by and large, when you were there growing up, there wasn't that negative
No.
activity
No.
around the different
No.
religions. Everyone sort of
You
the
don't
Jews are
you
here,
don't
the
insult
Muslims are here.
religion.
But I think when the war broke out, you had some difficulty then.
Yes.
When I think, I don't know if you, okay. So I think that's, but in school, when you went to school, the British Boys School and Victoria College, there were people, it was a melting pot.
Right.
It was like living in Manhattan.
When do you recall when you and your siblings had that aha moment of, oh wow, this happened to him, and this is.
Well, I mean, I
And
don't.
could you ask him about it?
I could. I mean, I remember when we would go to my grandparents' house, his parents. It was always different languages, different people coming in, but I didn't realize what happened in Egypt regarding anti-Semitism and what the war, anything like
My
that.
father took in a lot of refugees. They had no place to go, no place to live, so he gave them the house. Downstairs, he built a shower and a bathroom, and they slept downstairs. They lived down there. My mother did the cooking, and if the ones that didn't have homes stayed with us, the ones that did have homes, they all surrounded my father. They respected my father for bringing them over. He got them jobs. He got all the refugees jobs here.
And did you obviously became aware, you and your siblings, as you were getting older. Do you feel that what his experience seeped into your family life and your upbringing and?
Yes, it definitely did. Middle East growing up, and what he, how he was raised, he kind of brought that here, which I don't know was such a great thing, but I always knew, I always knew that my family was different from other people's families. The language, that he was from Egypt, that was a huge, aha, my father's from Egypt. I mean, that was, to me, it was amazing. Sometimes my mother would get so upset, what's the matter with my side of the family, where we came from, Eastern European. To me, the Middle East was just different, a whole different culture than.
Well, and was there also for you, Mark, ever a situation where I think in America the general feeling is most Americans would never think of Egypt in World War II unless they've seen Lawrence of Arabia.
Right.
But by and large, when people think of the Holocaust, they think of Eastern Europe.
Correct.
Germany, Poland.
Exactly. Where there was a feeling for me of saying, well, wait a minute, even though I was from Egypt, I was affected by that. Did you ever kind of come into that thing of feeling like
Didn't
you were
think
sort of
about it.
outside the
Didn't think about
outside
it.
the whole, almost a
I
sort of
have
feeling of
I
survivor's
have
guilt.
videos of my bomb shelter. John, how can you?
Okay, so we're going to talk about
9/11.
Okay, 9/11. September 11th. I mean, there are many Muslim Arab people that live in Manhattan. So I was always open to the fact. I speak a little Arabic. He taught me Arabic. And I teach my daughter, respect other people. They just came to this country. We want them to feel welcome. So I might say a few things in Arabic to the drivers. Sometimes Dad would say, "Lisa, be careful, be careful." So, that's always in the back of my mind. So September 11th happens, and I'm living in Manhattan, and clearly I'm a mess. I call my dad, who's in the office. Nothing would get him to leave, not even this. And I call him up, and he was angry. I mean, like almost mad at me. And he said, "You Americans don't know what war is." As soon as I heard that sentiment, I realized he never really assimilated to, America. His allegiance is American. My father's allegiance for sure is American, but his thoughts that go back to the Middle East and what he experienced maybe with the Muslim Brotherhood, that I believe stuck in his mind, and that they attacked American soil. Well, so that was a very heavy thing for all of us to see, especially knowing that he comes from that part of the world. And
did you and your siblings sort of collectively say, "Gee, Dad, our dad's not the same, say, as other dads that haven't experienced that"? And were you able to ever ask him about his experiences there?
I did, but he mostly speaks about it in such a happy, positive way that when he came to America, he thought the streets were paved in gold, and he thought that he never saw snow in his life. I think that he wasn't so crazy about being here at 13. He left his friends, he left his cousin, his aunts. He came to a foreign land. So I think that, I don't think he ever acclimated. I think his focus was on his business. That was survival. His business and his family. That's where my father's focus was. He had a whole different way of thinking, of raising a family. It was different than most people, other kids. But my father worked very hard as an immigrant. He worked very hard for his family, and he did a great job.
What would you say, now that you have your lovely daughter here next to you?
She said it.
Given everything that's happened in your life personally growing up, the after effects of it, what you had to do to start over, and what's happening in today, what is, because you have lots of grandchildren, and they're beginning to experience a little bit of not totally what you experienced.
I never mentioned anything to them, but I was very furious and angry. I contacted the federal authorities. I wrote to the federal authorities, and I was fighting a war on my own, not disclosing it with my children or my family.
But what's the advice that you give to your grandchildren about life and hardships and everything based on what you've experienced with the war?
Like my mother's famous saying is, overlook.
Overlook. And how would you define overlook?
How would you define overlook?
Oh, I know. Keep calm
Ignore
and
it.
carry on.
Ignore it. Carry on. Overlook. My mother's favorite expression.
Don't let things sit. If it's not something you control, just overlook it, start all over, move forward. My children experience Middle Eastern food at my mother's house. She was a great cook.
Are you happy and proud of what you've accomplished in this country despite everything?
I think so.
And
but my life's shorted because of my wife. I should have retired maybe sooner and be with my wife longer. I don't know. You can't say that.
Well, I imagine your wife knew. Just even for
she
me
was
knowing
very
you a
good
little
to
bit
me.
how much
She was
loved
very,
you
very good
and
to me.
raised wonderful children and grandchildren.
And I call her the diamond with no flaws.
Is there anything else you'd like to say as we wrap it up and go to other things?
How do you think that what kind of advice can you give me right now with what's happening in New York City?
You take things very seriously in New York City, and I keep on telling you, stop, okay? We're not safe here. They're going to bomb us. We're not safe here. Stop.
You didn't want me to march in the Israeli Day Parade, and I did.
Because I told you it might be dangerous for you to march in the parade because of what happened in Boston Marathon.
How do you think your father would be reacting? Because
my father reacting differently. He would have marched. He would be the first.
So that's where you get
my
it from.
father was.
My grandfather started the Zionist movement
Party.
in Alexandria, Egypt, in 1928, with Chaim Weizmann, the prime minister.
He met him at the Alexandria train station, June of
Provide a
1928, or
detail
something
you
like
left
that.
out.
He did
We
leave-
donated the picture to the Chaim Weizmann Museum when we went
So
there.
let's talk about that. Grandpa Joe was he started the Zionist movement in Alexandria, Egypt, with many rabbis and
All rabbis.
all the rabbis,
And prominent Egyptians.
and to try and show, I guess, be a part of the fabric in Egypt, so that they see that these people are coming together. These are the Jewish people. He started the Zionist movement. Chaim Weizmann came to Egypt to meet with the rabbis and my grandfather in Alexandria, Egypt, in 1928. We're very proud of that. That is where I think the fire
And
is.
he was the only man wearing a white sharkskin suit.
at this dinner with Chaim Weizmann. But
They all wore tuxedos, tarbushes, yarmulkes, and my father was wearing a white sharkskin suit. There's a book on that,
Okay.
The
Yeah.
man that wore the white sharkskin suit.
yes, but I think that's where I get the fire in me. I studied in Israel. I went to Hebrew University in Jerusalem in 1982. I speak a little Hebrew. I read and write. I went to yeshiva for a short time of my life before we moved to Long Island. And I think since the war, October 7th, I'm spinning out of control, because I really feel that my grandfather did so much to try and have the world understand Jewish people, and now we have to start all over again from scratch. And that to me is like everything he did was for naught. And when they were marching in my neighborhood on York Avenue, I carry an Israeli flag with me at all times, because I want to be around in an area to represent, I ran out of my building with a flag. I went temporarily insane. And I ran to just show my,
Solidarity.
yeah, my solidarity with Israel. I said, this looks like Germany in 1944. They're in my neighborhood with these huge Palestinian flags. I don't mind people, free speech and all that, but right now our Constitution's working against us. But I stood there in front of a police van holding my flag, and they tried to stab me with their Palestinian flag. I wasn't doing anything but just standing there with my flag. And I think that is where I get this fire, because my father, came from a Middle East country, and he was a peaceful person, didn't condemn anybody for, their religion or culture. And why are we doing this now here again? And this is very, very disturbing. And for this to happen all over again after all we've done,
And I told her many
Elie
times,
Wiesel, I mean, these are horrible times.
and I told her water will find its level. You'll see, wait and see, it's going to reverse. Wait and see, it's going to reverse. Water will find its level.
I don't know if
Do
this
you have a positive view of what's going to happen in this
Yes.
world, that it's going to
Yes.
get better?
I predicted that they're going to free the hostages like an Entebbe raid 5 months ago.
But in general, based on your experiences, how do you feel about
It's
going
gonna go
forward
all
this
over.
world?
First of all, Hamas is playing games.
I don't mean in that way. I mean in the world in general. Do you feel positive about
Yes,
the world, and that you
Yes.
have a hopeful glass?
people are going to come to realize what's going on. They don't know what terrorists are. They don't know what ISIS is. They don't know what Hamas is. They don't know this. They don't know anything about anybody. That's what the educational is.
Okay.
If you knew more about them, then there'd be a different.
Okay.
that's interesting.
People are very ignorant. They just go along with the herd. And herds really are bad.
It's interesting. He has more of a positive sense that things are going to get better, and I don't. And he tells me, and I don't see it at all. It's funny how he can see it. And I do talk to, there are some Holocaust survivors that live in my building, and we speak, and they think it's going to blow over too. And I don't understand where they see that or where that's coming from inside, that they feel that way. Because right now, I don't feel that it's going to get better right anytime soon. So
What positive thought would you like to leave us with?
Overlook?
Overlook. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
John, you want to...
One.
We're back again with Mark, and can you tell me what's on this screen right here?
Yeah, that's my birth certificate from Egypt. And it's got the date in Arabic, everything in Arabic. When I had to show it to somebody, they doubted the date of birth. I told them it's 1933. How can you tell it's 1933? Because the last two numbers are the same. So I can't be born in 1922, and I can't be born in 1944 because the year now is 1950. So it's go back to 1933.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mark, can you tell us about this photo?
Yeah, that was taken 1954. I went to my squadron baseball game, and I wore my jeans and my jean jacket and my Brooklyn College sweatshirt.
Thank you. Mark, can you describe this picture to us?
That was one of our happiest days of our lives. The day of our wedding, June 26, 1960. We had just gotten married with the rabbi, and now we're just leaving the temple.
And where did you get married?
Got married in Brooklyn, Ahavath, Israel, on 29th Street and Avenue K.
And do you remember how many people were at your wedding?
Yes, about 300.
Oh, wow.
But we did an old-fashioned wedding. We had people coming to the smorgasbord first, and then to the reception. After the reception, the people that were not invited to the dinner would leave. The people that are invited to the dinner would stay.
Super. Thank you. Mark, can you describe this photo
this is
for us?
Victoria College, what do you call it?
Report card?
Report card, yeah. Report card, that's what it is. And they put everything in there. They don't hide anything. Naughty, talkative, and restless. That's me.
Okay, thank
And
you.
they forgot to put aggressive.
Thank you. Hi, Mark, can you describe this photo to us?
This was taken 1959, September 1959. I went to Europe with my father, and for a 2-week vacation before I was married. This is 1959, September, and that's where I bought the ring in Europe, in Belgium. I bought the ring to give to my future bride, my wife.
And was anybody else on this trip with you?
No, just my father and I.
And was there any particular reason that you did it together?
Because he wanted to take me around, see the world, and see the Europe, and that. And I mentioned to him I wanted to get a ring for my wife, or for my girlfriend at the time. She used to buy me a lot of things. She bought me a tie pin. When she bought it, it was too thin. She told the jewelry man, "It's too thin. Can you get me a thicker one?" She paid double the price. She got a thicker one. She bought me shirts. She bought me my wallet, my travel wallet, where I put my passport. And I kept it. I still have it. And I have a letter that she wrote to me. All right.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Mark. Can you tell us who the people are in this photo?
Yeah, this picture is taken 1947, the whole family. Bottom row is my youngest brother, Ben. In the middle is my mother, Rose. On the far right, on the bottom, is my father, Joseph Cassuto. On the top left is my brother, Albert Cassuto. In the middle is my sister, Regina Cassuto. And me on the far right, behind my father, is me, Mark Cassuto.
And do you remember where this was taken?
1947.
In New York?
In the Brooklyn, yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Mark. Can you tell us about this photo?
Yeah, that was taken in Upper Greenwood Lake, New Jersey. We went to my friend's aunt's home in the country, and we spent a day there. And then we went visiting another friend of ours there. that his parents had a farm, and they cut rhubarb for my wife because her mother loves rhubarb.
Beautiful photo. Thank you. Okay, Mark, can you describe to us what's in these photos right here?
Yes, it's in front of my house, or in the balcony of my house in Alexandria. That's my sister on my left, and that's me. And the two boys, or three, live there now.
And what year was this?
This is taken 1982.
And the family, your family still owned the house?
Yes.
Okay,
1982, is that right? Yeah, 1982. We owned the house,
thank you.
but it's dilapidated. Did you get the picture?
Thank
I
you.
did.
Yes.
Okay, here's...
This is what it looks like now.
This is what the house looks like now. But I will tell you, this is a very poignant photograph because we all went to Egypt together. My father brought the whole family, and my aunt got there to the house first. So we're walking down the block, and she's yelling, "Welcome home, Marky." And he ran right to her arms, and it was such
Whose arms was he running
his
into?
sister, because they were waiting for us to get there.
Ah, okay.
So I snapped this picture. I was like shaking because
Let's use that one. Can we use that
Yeah,
one?
put it up.
Was your sister, she wasn't living there?
No. Dad took everybody to Egypt.
Yeah.
You can
His-
just put the page up there. And,
His sister, his children, his niece and his
Yeah.
nephew, my cousin Alan, who's a documentary filmmaker.
take the other one away,
Sure.
please.
This one?
Yeah. And move that one over a little bit.
Sure. So and people were out the windows when he was running up the block,
Yeah.
yelling his name, Marky. He's
Marco.
Marco's back. Mark.
Wow.
And it was just the most. I can't even describe. He had a whole nother life.
Isn't that
It
Yeah,
was,
that is a,
It's,
yeah.
it was so emotional, and I said, "Oh,
Yeah,
I have to
it-
get."
Can you describe this photo to us?
Yes, me meeting my sister in the street next to my house, which is, I believe, on the right-hand side. And she ran over to me, and we hugged and kissed each other. This is 37 years since we were living there.
And what year was this?
1982,
And you had gone there with your entire family.
yes.
Thank you. Mark, can you describe this photo for us?
Yeah, this is the shelter my father built under the house. A cement, concrete shelter that can accommodate 10 people, maybe more. And it had a brick wall in front of it, that in case anything happens, it wouldn't go into the shelter or block the entrance of the shelter. The shelter had stairs going down, so the brick wall would eliminate any debris falling into the shelter and blocking the shelter.
And who's that with you?
That's my wife.
Okay. Thank you. Mark, can you describe what this is about?
Yes, it's a documentary on my business, when I started it and what I did with it and everything about my business. I started my business when I got married, January 1st, 1960. I thought it would bring me luck, which it did. And we had a nice going business. I had a nice going business. And I was routined, leaving every morning at 6:30, coming home at 5:30, religiously, non-stop. Wouldn't take off for hurricanes, wouldn't take off for anything. Rain, snow, sleet, I'd go.
And what year did you retire?
I didn't retire, really. I just left because of my wife's condition.
Okay.
I would say about 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Thank you.
That was.
Lisa, Mark's daughter, is going to read this lovely poem that her mom wrote when they went to their trip to Egypt several years back with the entire family.
He took us back to his native land, his wife, 3 daughters, and son in hand. His heart was full with feelings deep. Into his mind we tried to seep. We saw the house still standing there, proud, a bit older, in need of repair. It has changed so much in all these years. To Mark and Reggie, it brought many tears. The street was broken, the people so many. For words of comfort, there weren't any. To British boys' school we went one day. He was so thrilled and happy to see this display. We were shown all around this wonderful place. Here he was happy in any case. A time to remember, a time to roam. Alexandria, his boyhood home.
That's something. Thank you.
She was a good poet.
Wow, that's something. That really
She
captures
loved poetry.
That's why.
Mm.
How did it sound? Did I read it?
It's not... Mark, can you describe this lovely photo for us?
Yes, this was a family portrait. We took the whole family on vacation.
2010 maybe?
2010 or 2011 in the Bahamas. What was the name of the hotel? Atlantis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And this concludes our interview. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I
and
really
an honor.
appreciate it. Brings back old memories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.